Afro Tales podcast is a part of the Connected Podcast Network.
Ahoy, my friends. Welcome aboard the Afro Tales podcast. I'm your storyteller, Aman Mazinga. Join me as we explore the tales that grew from the people of Indigenous and African descent in the Americas and the Caribbean.
After, come and see me, chef, who will impart upon you a recipe for the story you have just heard.
So with no further ado, let us set sail on this new age of exploration. Sukey and the Mermaid. Storytellers say this happened once upon a time on a little island off the coast of South Carolina. A girl named Sukey lived with her ma and steppa in a cabin with a sagging porch and a roof so rickety it let in sunshine or rain, depending on the weather. Every morning at day clean, Sukey would get up to sling her hoe at the weeds in the vegetable garden. If she stopped to fan herself with her straw hat, her steppa would shout, "Sukey, don't you be skylarking now." The girl's mother called her husband Mr. Jones, but Sukey had her own name for the bossy, do-nothing man. As her hoe rose and fell, she sang, "Mr. Hard Times, since you come, my mama don't like me, my work never done. Mr. Hard Times won't do a lick, just say work faster or whip you with the stick." One hot afternoon, when her steppa wasn't looking, Sukey threw down her hoe and took off. She ran through the woods of pine and palmetto and mossy oak, past dunes fringed with broom grass, to the beach of shining white sand. That was her secret hideaway. She sat down, pulled off her hat, and unwound the white kerchief around her head. The sea breeze cooled her burning face while she wiggled her bare feet deep to where the sand was wet and cold. She sang a little song she had heard somewhere. Thee down below, come to see me, Mama Joe. Suddenly, a beautiful brown-skinned, black-eyed mermaid rose up in the water. Hair as green as seaweed hung down to the mermaid's waist. Sunlight sparkled off the gold combs in her hair and the green scales of her fishtail. The girl was mighty frightened, but the mermaid said pleasantly, "How do, my lady? You look so hot there in the sun. Come into the water and cool off." Now, Sukey had heard from folks warn, "The mermaids caught you and pulled you beneath the water." So she said, "No, missus, I can't swim. I'll teach you to swim, if you wish," the mermaid said. Then she added gently, "You have no reason to fear me. I came because your song called." But Sukey would only wade along the water's edge while the mermaid dove under the waves and rose and dove again. Each time she brought Sukey something, a curious shell, or red and white coral, or bits of green and blue glass polished like jewels by the sea. When the sun began to set, Sukey cried, Oh, I'm going to be whipped for sure. I forgot to clean and feed the chickens and draw water from the river. Give this to your folks, said the mermaid, pressing a gold coin into Suki's hand. And then they won't scold you. But you must promise not to tell them about me. When you want to see me again, just come here and sing. Thee, down below. Come to me, Mama Joe. Then Mama Joe disappeared beneath the waves. Suki hurried home. At first, her mama and steppa yelled because she had not done her chores. But when she gave them the mermaid's coin, they stared in wonder. Where did you get this? Her mama asked. On the edge of the water, said Suki. Well, said her steppa, go off tomorrow to the edge of the water and see. Can you find some more of these? I will, Suki answered, happy to have more time to spend with the mermaid. After this, Suki went to the shore every morning when the day was clean. The mermaid taught her to swim, and sometimes they dove through the water together. One day, the two sat talking beside the waves. Soon, I'm going to leave this island and go to the main, said Suki. I'll live in a fine place, like Beaufort, Charleston. My home is below the sea, away from the world of men, said Mama Joe. You could come with me if you want. I don't think so, said Suki. Before she dove under the waves at first dark, Mermaid would give Suki a small gold coin. This the girl gave to her folks so her ma could buy meat and rice and flannel. But Mr. Jones spent most on Malefi whiskey that came by the boat from the mainland. So things were not much better in the tumble-down cabin. Suki's mom grew more and more curious to know where her daughter found the gold coins. One morning, she followed Suki to the shore, hiding in the broom grass on the sand dune. She heard Suki sing, Thee, down below, come to me, Mama Joe. The woman watched in amazement as the girl and mermaid swam in the ocean. And she saw the mermaid give Suki one gold coin at the end of the day. That night, while Suki slept, her mama whispered to Mr. Jones about what she had seen. If I catch that merman, her husband said, I'll sell him on the main for a pile of gold. Before day cleaned, as Suki was sleeping, her ma and step-pa carried their canoe down to the shore. There, the woman sang, Thee, down below, come to me, Mama Joe. When the mermaid rose up in the water, Mr. Jones chased her in the canoe. He flung his net at her, but the angry mermaid dove deep beneath the water. She did not come up again, though Suki's mom sang the magic song over and over. At last, husband and wife gave up and went home, each blaming the other for what had happened. They said nothing to Suki, who went to the shore as usual. But Mama Joe did not answer the girl's song that day, or any day. Suki grieved for her lost friend, because there was no more gold Mr. Jones made her hold the garden, clean the house, and haul water until she took sick. Soon she grew so weak that she could barely get out of bed. But in a dream, the mermaid visited her and said, "I will come to you once more and take you to live with me beneath the sea. If you want this, go to the shore and sing. Thee, down below. Take me down, Mama Joe." Though she was very tired and sickly, Sukey crept down to the shore while her ma and steppa were away. There she sang softly, Thee, down below. Take me down, Mama Joe." To her joy, the mermaid rose up. She wrapped strands of her magical hair around Sukey so the girl could travel safely beneath the waves. Then they plunged into the ocean. The mermaid carried Sukey down through the water to her home in the sea wall. Sukey found herself in a vast, dry cave. All around her, mother of pearl glowed and filled the place with soft, warm light. Mama Joe said, "This is your home now. I will never scold you down here." For a while, Sukey was happy. The mermaid taught her songs and gave her strands of pearls and showed her a rusty chest filled with gold and jewels from a sunken pirate ship. In return, Sukey would amuse her friend with riddles she had learned. But after some length of time, the girl began to pine for the sound of human voices and the mockingbird's sweet song at dayclean, for the scent of wild magnolias and jasmine, for the sky of delicious blue dotted with white clouds and gulls. She pleaded with Mama Joe, "Do carry me back home, missus." At first, the mermaid said no, but touched by Sukey's tears, she said, "Well, very well. If you ask me a riddle I can't answer, I will take you home." So Sukey thought and thought. Finally, she said, "There's something that walk all day, and when night comes, she go under the bed and rest. What's that?" Mama Joe thought and thought and thought, but could not solve the riddle. "That's a shoe," Sukey cried. She had picked the riddle because the mermaid had no feet, and Sukey was always barefoot. "I will carry you back to the land," said Mama Joe with a sigh. "But time has passed in the world above while you've been with me. You are a grown woman now. Go to the pirate's chest and take a bag full of coins and jewels. This will be your dowry. When you return, many men will court you, but marry only the man named Dimbo. If you choose another man, your treasure will disappear." Then the mermaid wrapped her mossy hair around Sukey and brought her to shore. The young woman returned to the rickety cabin. There she found her ma and steppa. Sukey's ma had grown old, grieving for the loss of her daughter. She embraced Sukey with tears of joy. Mr. Jones had grown meaner. until he seemed only dry bones and bitterness. Seeing Sukey's treasure, he pretended to welcome her home. He hid his face in his hands as though he were crying too, but he couldn't squeeze one salty tear out of his eyes. When the story got around that the young woman had brought a rich dowry, all the young men came courting her. But Sukey remembered the mermaid's warning and refused all of it. Then, one day, a hard-working fisherman rowed across from the mainland to court. "Name is Dembo," he said simply. Sukey studied his eyes and saw love and honesty and kindness in them. Though he was not as tall or as handsome as other suitors, she was happy with the man the mermaid had chosen for her. Sukey's mom and her neighbors planned a fine wedding, but Mr. Jones had other plans. "I'm gonna get that gold now," he promised himself. That night, before the wedding, while Sukey and her ma were away, the wicked man struck Dembo dead and stole the treasure. No one saw him do the deed, so he hid the bag under his mattress. When Sukey discovered the crime, her grief was beyond measure. She ran to the seashore, where she cried, "Dee, down below, come to me, Mama Joe." The mermaid appeared and Sukey told her unhappy tale. Then Mama Joe said, "This is the last time I will come to you, my lady. You must now choose forever between my world and the world of men. Think carefully. Below the sea is gentle, without time and pain. Up here, hurt and hunger are never far away, and time is always ready to steal what little you have." But Sukey said, I must have Dembo. Do bring my sweetheart back to me. I won't bother you after this." Mama Joe dropped a seed pearl into the young woman's palm. "Set this on Dembo's lips," she told Sukey. Then, with a sad "Goodbye, my lady," she vanished beneath the waves. Sukey raced back to her cabin, where Dembo rested in a plain pine coffin. While her ma and the other mourners looked on, she put the tiny pearl on Dembo's closed lips. Right away, life came into him again. Sitting up, he pointed to Mr. Jones and cried, "That's the one who hit me!" But the wicked man snatched the treasure bag and fled to the shore. Pursued by Sukey, Dembo, and the others, Mr. Jones jumped into his canoe and paddled away. But as everyone watched, a single dark cloud formed above the boat. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. The ocean beneath the cloud began to churn, and high waves swamped the canoe. In a moment, the angry water swallowed the boat and its passenger. Suddenly, the sky cleared and the sea calmed. Though they were sorry to have lost the mermaid's treasure, Sukey and Dembo were happy to have each other. They comforted Sukey's mom, who said, Mr. Jones wasn't much, but he was all I had in this world. You got us, Ma, said Sukey, giving her a hug. We'll all be getting along just fine now. The next day, the wedding went ahead as planned. Afterward, Sukey took Dimbo's hand and led him down to the shore. As the two sat on the beach, Sukey wiggled her toes deep in the white sand and felt something hidden there. Together, they dug up the lost treasure bag. At that moment, Sukey saw the flash of sunlight on green scales and gold combs far out to sea. She blew a kiss across the waves and heard sweet laughter in return. Storytellers say, I step on a thing and the thing bend, and that's the way the story ends. So, wow, that is an awesome story, especially when I tell you how much information and how much had to be fleshed out to make this story what it was. This comes from the book Sukey and the Mermaid by Robert D. Souci and illustrated by Brian Pinkney. So the author left us a note at the end of the book. He says that this story was almost a fragment of a story recorded in Ellis Clue Parsons' Folklore of the Sea Islands, South Carolina, published in 1923 by the American Folklore Society. Meaning that the person that told this story to Miss Parsons, it was just a fragment. It was maybe a paragraph of a story. You know what I mean? That's how a lot of folk tales were told back then. It was almost like a parable, you know, something quick. Hey, you know, there was a little girl that got rescued by a mermaid, and then her husband or her stepdad and her ma almost tried to catch the mermaid, and then she went down with the mermaid, and then she came back and she married this boy, and then the daddy he tried to steal it and he killed the boy, but the girl, she went to the mermaid gave her a little pearl to put on the boy's lips, and he came back to life. The daddy ain't like that. He ran off, and then he got swallowed up by the sea. Now the girl and the boy, they went ahead and got married. And then toward the end, they went back down the beach and found that sack of gold that the mermaid had gave them. See, it's a fragment. It's a whole story, but it's a fragment. And that's a lot of folk tales. That's how a lot of folk tales are told. So what the author did, he looked at other stories, and he noticed something about the other stories that interested me, and I wanted to share this. Let me tell you what he said. He said this led him to investigate Caribbean folklore, where he discovered that the Pretty Joe of the Parsons story, or Mama Joe, as the character is called in this parallel text, is derived from Mama Dlo. Mama Dlo, or water mother, or Mami Wata, a term for a mermaid. Now, although it may not be the root tale, he also discovered that this tale came from West Africa. And I thought that was beautiful. Because if you follow a lot of the African traditions, the ancestral practices, if you're from the Caribbean or Louisiana or the southern states, period, you probably know about Mama Dlo or Mama Joe, Pretty Joe, Mami Wata, Yamoya, Yamoja, whatever you may call her. Or if you're in Haiti, La Serene. These are all names for black mermaids. Mami Wata is a spirit. She runs the water from West Africa. Yamoya, or Yamaja, or however you want to pronounce her name. She is the goddess, the Orisha of the ocean. Then you have people like Oshun, who is an Orisha who's in charge of some rivers. Water, contrary to popular belief, is a big part of African and the African diaspora spiritual system. And Mama Joe was trying to take that girl back to the water. There are beliefs that mermaids are, or some mermaids, I should say, are those that were enslaved from Africa who died in the ocean. They went down deep and became mermaids. Women, men, and children. And although I've never seen a mermaid, in my heart of hearts, I hope that is so. I truly hope that that is a fact of life. This story is beautiful. The fact that Sukey had to deal with the man she had to deal with in her steppa and deal with the life she had to deal with and figure out how to make it work, and dealt with jealousy and envy from her own family and prospered anyway through that. A lot of us go through that. A lot of us deal with those kind of people. A lot of us deal with a steppa like him and a ma like her. Instead of accepting what you're getting, they want more. And they'll do what they gotta do to take it from you to get a little bit more than what they had, not realizing that you doing what you do is helping them in the long run. But it just goes to show you can't hand people anything in life for free because they don't appreciate it and they expect more from you. Just like her mom and pa expected more from her, although she was giving them a gold coin every day. They expected more from her to the point where they said it was coming too slow. See where she's getting it from and let's go get it ourselves. I could probably have a sermon based on this, and I'm not even a preacher. But let's not worry about that today. Let's go see Chef and get a wonderful recipe. This will conclude, I want to say, my rice recipes or his rice recipes, I should say, for the month. You have gotten jollof, you have gotten a Jamaican, you have gotten rice and peas, and this week you will get another rice recipe. And all of these recipes are connected, just like all of these stories are connected to the motherland. So go see Chef, and until we meet again, I want to say thank you for coming along with me on these journeys through these tales. And until we meet again, have a blessed day.
Welcome, my friends, to the Galley. I am your chef, and today we have a wonderful recipe inspired by the story you have just heard. Today we will be creating Chicken Perloo. Now, what will we need for this very wonderful recipe? 6 tablespoons bacon grease or vegetable oil, half a pound of salt pork cut into 1-inch chunks, 1 cup roughly chopped onion, 5 cups of chicken broth, 1 teaspoon of nature's seasons, 1 teaspoon of poultry seasoning, 1 cup cooked chicken thighs, skin removed and roughly chopped, 2.5 cups of long grain white rice, unrinsed. Now, how do we put this together? Easy. First, in a large, heavy bottom pot, heat 2 tablespoons of bacon grease or oil over high heat. Once the grease or oil is shimmering, add the salt pork and cook on high heat for 1 minute. Pour the remaining bacon grease or oil into the pot. Reduce the heat to medium-low and cook the salt pork for about 5 minutes more until browned. Now, once browned, remove the salt pork from the pot and set aside. Leave enough oil in the pot to coat the bottom. Add the onion and fry for 1 minute. Return the cooked salt pork to the pot and cook the onion and salt pork together over low heat for about 5 minutes until onion just darkens. Now add the broth, the nature's seasons, the poultry seasoning, and bring to a boil. Once boiling, add the chicken. Cook for about 2 minutes. Then add the rice. Adjust the heat to medium-low and cook until most of the liquid has been absorbed. 10 to 15 minutes should do. Lastly, if you are using a steamer, transfer the rice mixture to the pot for the steamer. Cover and steam over medium heat for about 20 minutes until done. If you are using a regular pot, continue cooking the rice mixture on medium-low heat for 20 to 25 minutes until the rice has absorbed all of the broth. Once done, stir the rice with a fork and serve immediately. And that is it, my friends. Now, go. Do what you do. Make this recipe yours. And until I have another wonderful recipe for you, remember the mermaid and her lessons. And until next time, my friends, as always, enjoy.
Thank you, my friends, for coming on this voyage. Thanks to Art by Chalet for the logo, episode, and shirt designs. You can get t-shirts and other items on tpublic.com. You can contact me on all socials at AfroTalesCast. That's AfroTales Cast. And email me at AfroTalesCast@gmail.com. You may also become a benefactor by simply sharing with any and everyone, giving a thumbs up, a 5-star rating and review in your podcast app of choice, or simply donating on Patreon or Ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com. So until we meet again, may your winds be fair and your seas follow.